Hello, good day once again. Funke Oyende here. So today we are looking at tie bags. Tie bags are like belts we use to hold our curtain and hang it to the wall, especially when you want to open your curtains for light or for fresh air to come in. So you want to open your window curtains for light to come in, or you need fresh air. So for your curtains to remain elegant while open, you need to use tie bags. Now tie bags can be ready-made and they can be handmade. So there are so many different kinds of ready-made tie bags out there in the market that you can buy and just use, or you can make them yourself. So sometimes your clients might give you go ahead to use ready-made or handmade. So today we are going to be looking at how to make some styles of tie bags. So we'll be making 3 different styles of tie bags today. And by rule of thumb, tie bags should be between 21 inches long or 22 inches. 22 inches is okay for your tie bag. Okay, so now the first tie bag we are going to use, and another thing is, when you are using tie bags, you must have tie bag hooks installed to your walls. Tie bag hooks, and there are so many different styles of tie bag hooks too, so you must have installed those to your walls. And of course, we only use tie bags and tie bag hooks on windows. We don't use them on doors. So if you want to open your curtains and doors, you just pull them from the rod, just pull them to one side. So now let's get started. The first style we're going to make is a simple one, very simple tie bag. I call it simple tie bag. So I'll be using this fabric, this lightweight fabric, to make it. Is just 5 inches long and 23 inches wide. So since our tie bag is just going to be about 22 inches long, so I just added the 1 extra inch for sewing allowance. So let's get into it. So to make my simple tie bag, I will just fold this tie bag into 2 like this and sew the 3 sides, the 2 short side, this side and this side, and then the open end here. But I will also have to insert cords at the end. The cord is what we are going to use to hook it to our tie bag hooks on the wall. So I don't want my cord to be too long, so I'll just use about 4 inches. Or should I even use 3 inches? I think 3 inches is okay. So I'll just use about 3 inches of cord. I just cut 3 inches. We'll need 2 pieces for each tie bag. So I'm going to cut 2. Then I will sew the cords to each of these 2 sides. I will sew the cord to this side and to the other side, and I will fold the cord in 2 like this, and it will be inside. Then I'll stitch. So by the time I turn right side out, then it will now face out. So I'll put the cord here, sew it down, sew this long side, put my cord in here, sew it down, and I'll just leave a small allowance for turning it right side out. So I have it sewn, so I'll now be turning it right side out through this small hole I left here. Okay, so here we have our simple tie bag. It's very simple. So you go ahead and iron it so that it's very smooth and lying flat. Then to make it not too simple, you can fold it. You can just attach your rosettes to the middle here, so that by the time you use it to gather your curtain, to hang it to the wall, the rosette will just be in front like that, and making it to look more beautiful. Okay, so you use your needle and thread and tack. You can tack it to the front, you know, just position it in a way that it will be showing in front of the curtain. So just use needle and thread to tack it down. You can use your rosette, you can use your bow to garnish your tie bag. That's the essence of ornamental trim. One of the ways you can use your ornamental trim is, so it will now be facing the front like this when you hook it, so it makes it to look much more beautiful. All right, and actually I have a style. I have one tie back hook here, in case you don't know what tie back hooks here. So this is one design of tie back hook. So you just install this to the wall on both sides of your window, one on this side, one on this side. So you screw it to your wall, and then you will now hook your tie backs on it after you have used it to gather your cotton. So you hook it to your tie back on the wall. So that's how to use it. So we'll now be going to the next design of tie backs. Okay, for the second design of tie backs, I'll be using a long strip of fabric. It's 42 inches long and 4 inches. Sometimes it's long. Okay, that means it's 4 inches long, 42 inches wide. Okay, so I'll be frilling this. By that I mean I will just fold it in two. I'll fold it in two like this by the long width. I'll fold it in two and I will frill it. That means I will just, you know, pleat and sew it in place. So I will just form the pleat, sew it, form another pleat and sew it down till I finish. Please, you must remember to, at the beginning, you must turn about 2 inches or 1.5 in to hide the rough edge. So you fold that and turn it in so that you have a very neat edge at the beginning and at the end. So as you are pleating, once you get to 21 inches or 22 inches long, then you stop in case if the fabric is too long. So already I have the length I need, so I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. But I leave enough allowance for me to be able to turn the rough edge inside before I close it up finally. And then we'll continue. So here we have it, that's our frill. So the next stage now, I will take a second strip of fabric which I've already cut. It's just 2 inches. This one is 2 inches long and 23 inches wide. So I'll be using this to bind the top, to bind it and finish it off. So what I'll do is to just turn in, since I want 22 inches long tie back, so the extra one that made it 23 is just for the sewing allowance. So I'll turn 1/2 inch in here and place it on this one and sew it down. So I'm going to stitch the pink, the fuchsia pink on top of this down. Then I'll come back and turn it to the other side and stitch. Let's just do it stage by stage. So let me do the first stitching now. So right side facing, I place it on top and I stitch. Okay, so after stitching this first time, I will now turn it and stitch it again on the other to the other side. I will turn this rough edge in, so I'm like binding it. It's a kind of binding. So I'll turn the rough edge in and sew it in neatly on the other side. So I'll be inserting my cord here. My cord, I will insert the cord in here. Since I won't be turning this one, so I have to insert the cord this way. You know, you just fold about 1/4 inch out of the pink. Then you place it in front of the pleat you just made. Then you cut your cord and then you insert it and top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch my cord in, and then I'll stitch this down. And so here is the finished tie back. So I call this frilled tie back. So that's the name I give this, frilled tie back. So you just use it to gather your cotton, one panel of your cotton, and you use your hook and hook it to one side of the wall, and use the other one, hook the other panel to the other side of the wall. So that is our frilled tie back, the second one. So let's go to the third one now. Okay, so the third tie back is going to be a braided one, braided tie back. So I'll be using 3 strips of fabric since we are going to braid. So 3 strips, each of them is 2 inches in length and 42 inches long. So just like we did for the first one, as we are braiding, once we get to the length we need, we can cut off the excess. Okay, so it depends on how tight you braid. So now, before we start braiding, I'm going to stitch them into tubes. So that means I will fold them right side, each of them I will fold right side facing and stitch the long end down to the end. So I'll do that for the 3 pieces. Next, I'll be turning each of the tube right side out. You can use a screwdriver, a long screwdriver, to turn them out. Alright, so now that I've turned the 3 tubes out, what I'll be doing next, I'm going to stack them on top of each other like this, and I will stitch it down. I will stitch down so that I can braid. So let me sew them together first. So I'll stitch the 3 pieces together. So I staggered them a bit. I didn't stack them completely on top of each other so that it will have some width, it will be wide. So the next thing is I'm going to use my machine needle and presser foot to hold it down. Then I will braid my tie back. I hope you know how to braid. So you just go step by step and braid your tie back neatly. You can decide how tight you want your tie back to be. And once you get to your desired length, then you stop braiding and you now hook down the other end just like we did here. We are going to do it at the other end. I hope you see how I'm braiding. In case you don't know how to braid, you just weave. You weave the 3 strands just like you are weaving hair. I don't know, I hope you are seeing my hand. So I've cut off the excess once I reached the length I needed. So I'll be sewing this end down also at the, so that we can finish off our tie back. So let me sew this down. Okay, so in order to finish our tie back now, we are going to insert the cord at each of the ends. So I'm going to place the cord on top like this. Then I cut another small fabric strip about 1.5 to 2 inches square. Then I will place it on the front of the cord, and then I will stitch everything. I will stitch, but you can see that the fabric is wider than the tie back itself, so it's on purpose so that I can fold the rough edges in at the 2 sides, so it will now match so that the rough edges will not show. Then I will now turn the fabric to the back, and then I will bind it at the back to finish. All right, so this is it. So you can see I've stitched down. So I will now turn the extra fabric in, turn the fabric to the back, and sew it at the back. Then you can now turn this up, so that will be the end of the. So let me do that. Okay, so there we have our finished tie back, braided tie back. So, and that is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.